Welcome to the OVX podcast. I'm Dave Claxton, and this episode is brought to you by RamFit and Duonamic. And I remembered to put sponsors' names in, and I never do that, so I'm on fire today. And with me, as always, the Missing Mountains mama, Bethany McChesney. Because you are missing mountains, aren't you, Beth?
I am missing the mountains, and this weekend especially, like it's an actual problem, um, emotionally, because it's Blue Mountain Spartan weekend, and I am not going for the first time since 2017.
Do you feel, because I looked at the weather, and the weather looks like the best it's been
Which
in
is
over
also
a year.
making this so difficult. It looks so beautiful.
So, and for me, it's not as big a deal. For you, it's like 2+ hour drive, right? Like it's almost like a 3 hour drive,
It's
isn't it?
yeah, it's a solid 3 hours.
Yeah. So for me, it's like just under an hour, and I'm gonna scoot up on Sunday at least for sure. And I have a young cousin racing in the kids race. I'm gonna go watch him, and maybe I'll volunteer
Mhm.
a little bit, and then maybe if I'm super motivated, I might jump in for a fun run on the sprint if it's super beautiful and I'm feeling like it. And maybe if someone comes up and says, "Hey, run with me," and yeah, sure. So I'll bring my shoes. Put it that way. I'm gonna bring my shoes and see what happens.
Mhm.
It does look gorgeous. Did you see them? And I hate to, I don't want to kick Spartan Canada when they're down, but I thought it was kind of funny. Did you see they always do the Friday or sorry, the Thursday night or whatever kind of live stream kind of course tour that, did you see that?
I didn't see it, no.
Okay. Well, neither did many other people in the first place because Bear, bless his heart, Spartan Canada race director, great guy, did it on his own personal channel the first time through. And it was like three people watching, and Ryan and I were two of them. And, and he was like, I can't figure out why no one's doing any questions. This is weird. This is bizarre. And then I'm sure not only me, but I'm sure many people messaged and said, hey, you didn't do this on Spartan Canada. So he redid it on Spartan Canada. Then he got his questions and
Mhm.
people got to pay attention. I just thought it was funny. So sorry, guys. Tough break. But
Mhm.
the course looks great. They look like they're in the village a little more than usual.
Yeah, and that's one of the coolest things about this race too is it's at the base of the Blue Mountain Village. So they have got some more obstacles now going through the village, which is just it's like in 2017 when OCR Worlds was there and we finished running in to the center of the village and it was just one of the most memorable race finishes that I've ever had. It's just such a cool venue and it's so beautiful.
I don't think they'll ever recreate that. Like
No.
it was just
Hmm.
amazing. That was. And yeah, like you and I both first time at Worlds, and I thought you know what, I took it for granted. I thought, wow, it must be like this every year, and
Yeah.
it's not. It's not,
Yeah.
sadly.
We definitely did take it for granted because that was such a cool year and you also kind of thought that it will be like this forever. And
And
it's yeah.
so this is we completely already started in the wrong direction we were going. But
Mhm.
so if we look at like OCRWC that just happened in Mammoth, and we kind of all called it that Mammoth was going to be tough to sell tickets because it's so hard to get to and so expensive to stay at and all that stuff. Everything that went on like that. And it was. We sadly we were proven right. But look back, like I think there was less than 1,000 runners this year for Mammoth.
Wow.
And then you look back, and I think like Blue Mountain had like 5,000, 6,000.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not that far off. Yes, we did go through COVID, but that's gone. That's history. Nothing to do with that.
Hmm.
Wow. And then, I mean, we've probably not mentioned this. So now there's going to be no 2025
Yeah.
OCRC, but it's going to be 2026, and they're moving it to May.
Hmm.
I'm disappointed that there's nothing in 2025, but I think the move to May, I'm kind of excited about. And back to the East Coast, they said.
Yeah. I think the location, now they haven't said it. I think the location makes a lot of sense. Where it is right now, the travel and the difficulty for the location for people to get to is definitely a big factor. When it was in Vermont and Blue Mountain, Vermont, it was pretty well attended there. So that does help. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Hopefully the spring works out. There's always a lot in May and June also, but there's also so much in September and October. So
And then a lot of championships in September and October, right?
yeah. Well, maybe we just have too many championships.
Well, everybody gets a world title.
Yeah,
Well, how many?
especially this year.
So you've got FISO, you've got OCRWC, you've got
Hmm.
Spartan, and not just that. So FISO has a 15, a 3K, and a 100.
Mhm.
CRWC has a 100, a 3K, a 15, and a relay. They both have the same things. Well, FISO's is anywhere from 13 to 15 kilometers, depending on the year.
Yeah.
Um, and then Spartan has a beast championship, an ultra championship, a sprint championship, and now 100-meter championships, and then the trifecta championship.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
lot of freaking,
Everybody gets a world championship.
and they're all in that kind of October to December period.
Yeah.
So, oh, and there's World's Toughest Mudder as well.
Right.
So, and again, November, all in that same time period. So to move
Yeah.
to May, I don't mind the move to May. Like I'm looking at it, and if my schedule is not conflicted, yeah, I'm East Coast drivable. I'll go. I'll be
So
in.
then have you, are they taking all of 2025's races as qualifiers, or is this just you sign up if you want to go?
So I would wager for age group, and that's just something that I really miss. And I actually talked to, I can't remember who, but someone at OCRWC about it. I'm like, I miss trying to qualify for OCRWC
Well,
as,
in
as an age group.
2017,
Yeah,
which was my first introduction to OCR,
it was
I
a,
remember looking up qualifying races.
yeah, and it was a big deal.
Yeah, and qualifying was actually a thing.
It was hard. Like it was hard to qualify. So for 2 years I did the Mud Hero cheat.
I will admit I qualified from Rugged Maniac,
Yeah, but
but it was also my first race ever in OCR.
no joke, Rugged Maniac in Kitchener was not like Rugged Maniac in the States. Like I took ride at Rugged Maniac in Kitchener, and to qualify at Rugged Maniac, you had to be damn fast.
Yeah, I had to run. I had some girls nipping at my heels.
What was it like the top three? Top three from Rugged Maniac went?
Uh,
Maybe five.
I don't remember that part.
It was top three to
Yeah.
five. And
But the girls that were running were all like collegiate level. You know, they had like the university cross country team go out and stuff. Like it was legitimately fast.
because there wasn't a lot of races around here, every
Yeah.
badass obstacle course racer went.
Hmm.
Like for me to qualify an age group at Rugged Maniac, not a hope. It was not
Yeah.
happening. And you had to be in the top. There was no kind of this height in your age. You had to be at the top. It was terrible because when we went there, I think Rye qualified at Rugged Maniac one time in the States, and she came here and she goes, "This is the craziest Rugged Maniac I've ever seen. This is ridiculously fast." And
Yeah.
it was insane.
Yeah.
RIP Rugged Maniac, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a quick demise. They were big, and then they screwed over that one year where they
It kept canceling.
canceled and to move the venue and the date, and it was terrible. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I missed trying to qualify. I remember, I think it was the year after 2017. So it was 2017 we did did OCRWC,
Yeah.
and then the next weekend I had nothing planned, and there was a Mud Hero. And 11 o'clock the night before, I said, "Well, I'm just going to go do Mud Hero," and I called for a age group there because nobody tries to qualify.
I'm Mud Hero.
They're just out there playing. So I was the only
Yeah.
one racing.
Hmm.
So qualified there. But I thought I'll get an easy one in, and then I won't have to worry about it all year. And then
Yeah.
I get it, I get it. I did get it other places, but that was just my little trick.
Hmm.
Mud Hero's not dead yet, surprisingly though, the way they've gone downhill. It's been
I
bad.
thought it was.
Yeah, well, it's dead around here. Anyway, well, since we're talking OCR, we'll talk briefly about Croatia, which if you haven't seen a live stream, go take a look at it. It may be the most beautiful race I've ever seen. Um, it was just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like the they had it like right on. It almost looked like they had it at a resort on the waterfront, then through a town. There was no mountains, no
But
nothing
I
like
think
that.
this is the way Croatia is, though. Like the village, like the towns and stuff are right along the water.
Yeah.
Croatia is absolutely beautiful. Like it's so high on my bucket list of travel. But and they, you know, the start line was right on the edge of the water, running along cobblestone streets, and like it went through parts of the town and everything. It was a little bit like Sparta in that way.
The only part, like, so I'm watching it, and the swim. There was a big swim. We'll talk about the swim in a minute. I have a couple of comments about that, but the water was absolutely gorgeous. Like it was so crystal clear and beautiful.
And
And
they didn't make them wear life jackets.
no, no, no. And there was like no lifeguards in the water. Now, it did look as if you could almost touch the bottom.
Okay.
It looked very shallow, and
Okay.
they were all kind of most of them weren't swimming anywhere. They were pulling along the rope line.
Okay. Okay.
So I that's where I'm kind of like I was like, hmm. Just even with that in today's climate, I would have put a couple of lifeguards out there, or at least have one diver on a boat at the ready or something. Maybe they did and I didn't see it. I don't know, but I looked for it specifically and did not see it. And that one, to me, that's a miss in the climate right now. But
Yeah.
anyway, it we'll leave that as it is and call it a lucky break. Um, the other thing that got me about the course was a lot of it through the town. I guess you would have equated it to solo track because there was a lot of spots where you would not be able to pass because you're kind of weaving down these stairs and very narrow column ways and stuff. And I was like, man, that part I don't know. But I guess, that's like solo track out in the woods and such.
Hmm.
Like I did like the course. As far as performance on the 5K, Nicole was running away with it, and then she had a failure on the spear throw, I believe it was, and Susanna Kokomova passed her there, and then Nicole was on the hunt chasing her down, ended up passing her on after the like caught her kind of on the swim, and then there was the multi-rig right after she passed her on the multi-rig, and that was pretty much like a sprint, couple obstacles to the finish, and she came.
Hmm.
So it was very
It was
exciting.
great to see Susanna back in it also.
And at peak form, like she looked good. She was not messing around. So I was like, yeah, it was awesome to see her back. I
Hmm.
like Susanna always, I don't really think of her as an OCR person. I think of her as a Spartan racer. Because, I
Uh,
know she's
yeah.
done OCR, WC and stuff. Like she has done
Yeah.
it. I remember her out in England and doing it, but it's just not as in tune with her skill set.
Yeah, she's definitely more of like a pure mountain runner coming from her skiing background.
She's got that engine, like that
Yeah.
biathlon engine.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so it's always good. But the other part over there, and so anyway, there's a 5K championship. Watch it. It's on Spartan's YouTube page, and it's really quite good. A bit of a rough start, I'll be honest, when you're in the men's. There's like no sound for a bit, and it's like just stick with it, it gets better. They fix their technical difficulties. Um, the 100 meter, which is a very polarizing event in the Spartan world as to whether it belongs, it doesn't belong, even if it is OCR.
Hmm.
I watched it live. I think I did watch it live. I think I watched it live. Anyway, doesn't matter. I thought they did an amazing job covering it, and it was legitimately exciting. And they didn't
Hmm.
they didn't bore you. Okay, if you were sitting there watching it all day, yes, that would get dull. But so does everything else. But they
Yeah.
kind of showed the last three rounds. So the quarterfinal, semifinal, and the final. And it was really exciting, really fast paced. The commentary was good. I would have liked a little more play by play during the commentary because usually during the run, it was almost like they both kind of were in a hushed wow, like awe of the speed. I didn't really,
Hmm.
I would have liked that a little bit more. And the guy in the opening that kind of was like the MC, he was reading straight off a paper. That was a little annoying. But these are very small quibbles. The video was great, the sound was great, everything was really well done, and I loved it. It was fantastic. I think it's got legs. Like it could legit be a very enjoyable product to watch. So
Well, and it drew some really big names from the ninja community.
yeah, it did. And probably the two biggest would be Tiana Weberly and Jesse Graff.
Yeah.
Tiana Weberly, who has been a guest on this show, ended up winning, taking the world championship. And I believe it was 20 grand. It was
Wow.
20,000 euros, which I think was close to 30K,
Wow.
which, well, Tiana, you're new to the world. Hopefully you get that.
I was gonna say that's a lot of money to be owed by Spartan.
Hopefully you get it before 2026 championship. Anyway, moving right along from you can't beat that horse to death anymore. It is what it is. I've heard it's getting a little bit better. I hope it does. We just keep crossing our fingers.
Hmm.
Um, should we talk about what we were going to talk about? Because none of that was at all what we were going to,
Yeah.
absolutely none of it. Big reason we wanted we put out another episode earlier this week with Beatrice Mayon Sylvestre. I did it really good with her. I did. It was really good. She even told me I did good. Anyway, that interview is out there. Please go and watch that. She is super nice.
Yeah.
Just an absolute sweetheart and just is almost stunned by her, not instant, but sudden rise.
Hmm.
So she's just having a blast and everything. So good
Yeah,
ninja background. And
she's a phenomenal athlete for sure.
she got that good ninja background and she can run.
Hmm.
So what is she? I think she said 800-meter collegiate background.
Ah, perfect.
Kind of reminds me of Morgan Schultz. Is that not right? Was
Yeah,
she?
Morgan was an 800-meter girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I said anyway, she's super sweet, super nice. Um, all right. We wanted to talk Hyrox, Amsterdam.
Mhm.
Um, so that I'm sure you got to watch.
Yes, I watched it. Yeah.
All right. What's your first take?
Um, well, I think the women's race is almost always it's like a Meg or Lauren coin flip. And I think from just conversations that I had, a lot of people were kind of expecting Meg to come in and make a statement. And nothing against Lauren, but I think we've just kind of seen Lauren take her off season a little bit different, like jumped in a Spartan race and she's done, a half marathon on the roads and just a little bit less specific, whereas it seems like Meg is extremely honed in on Hyrox and has been, spending a lot of time in Europe and training with her sponsor situations and stuff. So just super dialed in Hyrox. So I don't think anyone I would blame anyone for assuming that Meg would kind of run away with it. So for Lauren to come out, and we always assume Lauren's going to come out fast, and for her to continue to extend her lead and to take this one in the time that she did, and even she stated, "I'm not sure if I'm Hyrox fit."
I don't think Lauren knows what Hyrox Fit is.
I
I
think
don't
I
think she
know.
understands.
Well, yeah, Lauren's just fit, and I get what she's saying too. Is there just hasn't been a whole lot of specific high rocks workouts. Although everything she does is really kind of high rocks, and that's also another long question about training for high rocks, which I have debates with CrossFit people about all the time. But anyways, so Meg did, yeah, she looked, I guess, a little bit less than maybe would have expected, and Lauren did maybe set a record, then did set a record, then didn't, and maybe did, and then didn't set a record.
Yes, we're on didn't. We landed on didn't.
Yes, did not. So yeah, and then there was a couple other surprises. Um, Joanna
But
from
was that a surprise though? Because I mean,
well, I think only because the testing of the Elite 15
hmm.
and the pressure and all of that, her time, not so much. She has run very close to that time before, and she's proven herself. Um, so yeah, to kind of, but again, she does come from a professional sport background, being a professional tennis player. So she obviously
Is
knows
it
how to.
tennis or netball?
I assume that's they call tennis netball.
No, I think netball might be more like basketball.
I thought it was tennis.
Okay, well, you keep going. I'm going to
Okay.
Google.
Okay. Yeah, so I think I guess I kind of expected that she might fade a little bit when it came to even just at the wall balls and get passed by someone that was going to do them unbroken. But then she also is capable of that too. So Kate Davey came out looking in fine form. And then I think a lot of people thought that Vivian might be a little bit higher up there, but seemed to not have the best race either. Yeah, so I think the podium and that third place spot, I don't know if a lot of people would necessarily bet it on Joanne, but good for her. She qualified for Worlds with securing in that third place position. Yeah, so, and I mean, crazy fast times for the first race of the season.
So a couple things I wanted to touch on that you brought up all in there. First off, netball is more like basketball apparently, and it's like but 7 people play. I don't know, just on my quick Google. So it is more like basketball. It's Australia. They do what they do,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Um,
Well,
now we learn something. Um, what you said about Lauren not doing like not knowing if she's High Rocks fit, I'm assuming like basically not doing a lot of sims, not doing a lot of High Rocks specific workouts, so being a little unsure of where she's at. But I think isn't that the point of what we say hybrid is that anybody who is fit should be able to go in and do really well because they are fit, because it's not so much a high skill thing. Then we all know there's idiosyncrasies, right? There's pacing, there's skills to wall balls. There are certain skills.
yeah.
But the point is, she already has those skills. So
Yes.
now she can not practice those skills for a long time and just dial in her fitness.
Yeah.
But the thing that got me, and I was the same as you, is I was one of those people who thought Meg was going to go in there and not dominate, but I thought she'd win
No. Hmm.
because she does look so dialed in and her training looks like it's so good. And she was. I mean, she PR'd. So clearly she was. I just think that nobody expected out of Lauren what we got. Well, maybe Anthony did, but nobody else expected what Lauren delivered that day
Yeah.
at that level.
Also, everyone PR'd.
Yeah, it was a fast course.
Hmm.
It was definitively a fast course. It wasn't insane. Well, I mean, okay, if we take away
Uh,
if we take away the sled thing, no, not the sled thing,
the
the
distance on the grid.
not that grid. If we take that away, it still is a very fast course, but there's faster. It wasn't the fastest course. So anyway, yes, it was fast. But either way, she brought it. She brought it. I think she brought it a lot more than everybody anticipated. So that was awesome. And like you said too, with oh, what was her name? You just said her name. The young Australian,
Joanna?
Joanna seems legit, and I think maybe that she is so young and so new that she just doesn't doesn't clue in that she should be intimidated. It's like I'm just out here doing my thing. I'm not even aware that I'm not aware how special of what I'm doing is.
Hmm.
How special it is what I'm doing, and I think that that really plays for strength, and hopefully she can hang on to that and continue to go. But I just thought it was a great race.
Hmm.
Back and forth and good running and good speed. And like you said, Kate Davey, I do feel horrible for Vivian because it was clearly not her day. I haven't had a chance to chat with her too much to find out exactly what's going on. But yeah, I think they said there was like 8 out of the 15 women set PRs or something like that. And
Oh, I thought it was almost all but two.
maybe it was. But
Yeah.
then, I mean, after they adjusted the scores.
Yes. Yeah. Still, I don't know. It was definitely fast. And even the way, like typically even a Hyrox course is a rectangle and you have hard turns. And this one, it was such a smooth, rounded corners, like a track, which we don't usually get. So there's not even that little bit of slowdown with corners and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, definitely setting up for fast times.
It was. It was. And I'm great. I hope they continue to do that. I mean, I hope they make the grid the
As
right
long as it
distance.
stays consistent, because it definitely gives the advantage to people that get to race in this format.
Yeah, and I mean, just to go back to it, how many times we've said it before. Right now, if you look, they're doing the doubles. They're going to do the elite doubles, as in everybody shows up, runs, top three go on. And that's the system I've been crying for. Well, we've been crying for years for the elite
Hmm.
team. And like, hopefully the doubles proves that works and we don't have to do this silliness. And I'm going to go right from there into the thing about the adjusted times. Uh, we'll go back and talk about the men, but since we're rolling from there, the adjusted times because of the shortness of the grid. Yeah, they measured out 18 meters instead of 20. So for the lunge or burpees, for example, you're now into a 72-meter burpee zone instead of an 80, and for lunges, you're into a 90 instead of a 100. So
Hmm.
they did was the women got essentially they added 44 seconds to every woman time and 36 seconds to every woman's time. So before I go more into that, what do you think about them doing that?
I mean, I'm glad they adjusted it.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and I think giving everyone the same time doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense, considering the difference in amount of time that people take to do these two things. Um, because obviously some women, it's not going to take them 44 extra seconds to do, the difference of those. Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree completely. Like
Mhm.
I even thought about like, do I like them adjusting the time? And the reason I've come to the fact that I'm okay with them adjusting the time, because normally I don't like people going back and switching shit, is because it affected everybody and they adjusted everybody. Like, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? So that to me is fair. It's not like went back and they just adjusted the top three or did this or did that or one person. They everybody that was in that race on that course got their time adjusted to suit the course. But I'm with you that I do not like the way they did it. And I don't understand why they didn't take the time to do the paperwork. I have paper, many squares. And here's the difference. Now, I will say, so what I did was I went through and I removed their added time, their penalties for the women 44, for the men 36. I removed that to their original times. And then I calculated their essential meters per second for the burpees and meters per second for the lunges, added what their, essentially took that pace and extrapolated. I think that might be the word. Anyway, took that pace and averaged it over so that they would go the full distance. And what happens? Luckily, nobody's position changed,
Yeah.
but it did come really close, like very close. So, for example, on the men's, you went with, let's see, who was it? I believe it was Jonathan Wynn. Jonathan Wynn finished 13 seconds ahead of Jake Dearden, right? If you did the math, oh, sorry, yeah, if you did the math, it ended up 3 seconds.
Oh, wow.
So that's how close they came. As well, Thomas Dverdick over Lucas Storath was originally 13 seconds, and that went to 3 seconds. So like there was a lot of very things that closed in. But the big thing is, um, so if you take and put everybody's, well, one thing is everybody would have received more time for both men and women than the penalties they got. So all the men got 36 seconds added to their score. Every man would have been more than that.
Oh,
You averaged it out. So the closest would have been Alex Bronkovich because he would have got one extra second on top of the 36. So he'd been 37 seconds. However, Jonathan Wynn would have been an extra 17 seconds on top of the 36 seconds.
huh.
So that's the kind of stuff that could really play into the Elite 15 major quals when you're
Yeah.
dealing with averages and how tight it can be. And it was almost the same on the women. Meg Jacoby, according to the way I did it, she was like just like Alex +1, so 44 seconds +1. She was 45 seconds added. And then, oh, who was the last woman there? JT, is that Yana? Sorry, I'll have to look that quickly. Women was Jess Toll. Jess Toll was a +18 on top of the 44. So again, and that's someone who will be fighting for major positions. And
Yeah.
that kind of time could really make the difference between her and someone else. Like an 18-second swing is huge.
Yeah.
And that's why I really don't understand. Okay, and I'll be perfectly honest. So I did this by hand on a sheet of paper at work, sitting in a truck while I had like 30 minutes of downtime.
Uh-huh.
Not hard. And it's it's like grade 3 math. So even I was able to do it. So I don't understand why Hyrox didn't do that. Like, why would they? I'm trying to search for a reason. The only thing I could think of is that they were worried that it would have changed positions and they didn't want that. But do the math and figure that out first.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like I got nothing. I had no idea why. It seemed pretty simplistic, and that's what most people seem to be asking for. And everyone that I've talked to says, yeah, that makes more sense. Why not? It's only 15 people on each side. If you had your 3,000 people, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But for 30 people, you're looking at less than 30 minutes of math for one guy in a pickup truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it is what it is. Here's my question. Do you think they would have said anything if it wasn't for the fact that you can plainly tell on the video that it was 18 meters and not 20?
Because the lines are different.
The lines are all meter apart and you can just count the lines. And that's actually how it got noticed. Was
Yeah.
somebody saw it.
Yeah.
And who knows, when I say would they have said anything, they might, in fairness to them, they might not have known until someone pointed it out. They might not have
Yeah. I
known.
still don't know how this kind of mistake would have happened, but
Yeah, I don't know. I like if it was 19 meters, I could actually see it being more realistic because dude went out there and goes, okay, 20 lines, we're good. because one's the start line, then you get eight, one's the start line, and counted 20 lines there, but that actually only gives you 19 meters. You need 21 lines,
Yeah.
right? So I could see that. He's like, okay, there, I got 20 lines, I'm good. So I could see that one. The 18, I don't really understand.
No.
But I also
No.
don't think anything was untoward about it, because what's the benefit? There's no benefit in it other than maybe getting some fast times, but I don't think they don't need to manufacture that. There's no benefit for them to manufacture that either. I don't think.
No. No.
So I
No.
think,
And I mean, world records happen
yeah,
regardless. So,
I think it was a fuck up, a colossal fuck up.
mhm.
And like I said, I don't mind the way they handled it. I just think they should have went that one step first, further, and
Yeah, I agree.
for what it was.
Hmm.
I think Jade Skillen's another one too that I looked up there with her time. That will be very, because I think in the Elite 15 overall, she's like 1 second ahead of somebody.
Yeah.
And her time was to do the way I have it, where is Jade Skillet? So she was one of the ones who would have been like another 7 seconds on top of the 44 seconds. So that could very much make a difference.
Yeah.
Anyway, it is what it is. I have no longer use for that piece of paper.
Well, now these people, they have an advantage getting into the Elite 15 moving on in the future.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that just keeps going down to, it would be so much easier if it was just, here's the major, everybody show up and let's throw down. Oh, and here's our top 15 ranked people. That's who we're going to put in the first wave. If you come out of the back wave, fantastic. Good for you. Way to go. We didn't see you coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
chances are, I don't think, if you ask me, if you go to most races and you show me, show anybody who's paying attention to the sport, here's our list of entries for elite. Pick 15 out. I don't think there's a single day you can't pick out the top three. You know, like,
Hmm.
plus you have all the old times to go on to help you. Like, yeah, what happened in Toronto? We where Marcus came out of the fifth wave. Marcus would have been in the first wave if anyone looked at the numbers,
Yeah.
because he was like a 101 guy.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
and so would second place. Lord, I cannot remember the guy. It reminds me of Brendan Neely. Can never remember his name, but he was the same thing. Like he had been sub 104, I think, and anything 105 or better is going to get you in that first wave.
Yeah. Yeah.
So get rid of the grid, get rid of those calls. All right, Sean Noble. Sean Noble was running in, where was that? It doesn't matter where he's running. He was running Hyrox overseas, and he was winning. And he did some really fucking shit lunges. And somebody turned in a
Mm.
personal video, and Hyrox went back after. So he won, did the awards, got the banner, did the thing. I think he was engaged maybe in right near the top of the Elite 15 at this point. And next day gets a 6 minute penalty off of a spectator's video of his incredibly shit lunges, which you could say looked borderline intentional cheating.
Uh-huh.
So thoughts?
I mean, there's lots of things to talk about with this one. One, it's way after the awards. Also using videos to enforce penalties long after the fact is a really scary Pandora's box to open. Um, and it could set precedent. And I don't think that that's necessarily the way things should have been handled. I am shocked that his lunges got by any judge. Because
Yeah,
I mean, a lunge, step, 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 lunge is very obvious.
it looked like,
Not even like shuffle step.
no, it looked like lunge, full step.
And sometimes more than a full step.
Yeah, sometimes
It
one.
was like, we're gonna take a little walk and then we're gonna do another lunge.
It
It was pretty bad.
was
Also,
blatant. It was blatant.
yeah, and also I don't understand the choice of a 6 minute penalty.
No, I looked through the rules and I couldn't find that. Now, you could say in Hyrox's defense of sticking to the rule book, it does say that for like I don't know how it's worded, but basically any kind of unsportsmanlike conduct, they can do whatever they want,
So
right?
then it would fall under there.
Would fall under there. The problem with that is it's super arbitrary. And here's when you say Pandora's box. So here's the problem. One, they've now set an arbitrary penalty for bad lunges. In my mind, and this is now something that I'm having to deal with. If you received a video and you feel that that video is admissible, which I don't think so, but let's just go on the premise that you're going to take the video as admissible. In my mind, you're going to do assess two things, and this is after the awards. This is after you are either going to say judges call stands, or you DQ the person for intentional cheating. That, in my mind, are the only two options. Because otherwise, you're dealing with that Pandora's box saying, great, okay, we see some shit lunges. Here's a 6-minute penalty. Now, next week, I'm going to show you a video of an elite doing really shit wall balls, and you tell me what their penalty is. And I'm going to show you
Hmm.
7 different elites doing really shit wall balls, and you tell me what their penalty is. And then you tell me, how was everybody else's lunges the day that Sean Noble got nicked? Because none of them are on video. And we clearly know if he was up front and wasn't being watched by the judge, you can damn sure that the next 10 people weren't.
Hmm.
Because if you can't catch the first guy doing it, you're not gonna, you know, I'm like,
Yeah. The problem also is if he does get into the Elite 15 and those lunges did happen and there was no penalty,
mhm.
that's also a problem. Like, I think people that are bordering on the Elite 15 and they're getting on overall podiums, they should be held to an even higher standard. And maybe they should be potentially open to being scrutinized, but like to what degree and to how much further later,
I think personally in this scenario, it it, it probably should have been a disqualification, which it ended up being because he told him to DQ himself.
essentially.
No, but he told him to DQ himself after he got the penalty.
Oh, okay.
He said DQ. So they did. But that probably in my mind should have been Hyrox's call right off the bat because you're like looking at it and like, okay, this guy's intentionally cheating.
Yeah.
And then apparently, as soon as he got to the judge, his lunges got better, which even more enforces to me that he was intentionally cheating. People have been saying, like, well, what do you think about what Sean did or what Sean did? I don't give a fuck about what Sean's motivation is or anything. I just want to look at what I see and what makes sense. And to me, it makes sense that it looks like that was blatant cheating. Whether it was the one-time thing or a moment of a lapse in judgment or whatever, that, that if you deem that enough to penalize, you should deem it enough to um to disqualification because it's not just a case of bad form. It's a case of, like you said, lunge, go for a walk, lunge, go for a walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and it's not
Yeah.
like, I'm
It
avoiding,
wasn't like I'm a couple inches short of depth on wall balls.
no, 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 or I'm avoiding traffic or whatever. And I've stepped,
Yeah.
or I've done my burpee broad jump and I was going to run into the guy in front of me. So I took a half step off to the side and forward
Yeah.
around.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I just, and I mean, this is what I dealt with Deca, right? Do you bring in video review way after the fact? And there's nothing in Hyrox's rule book about video review at
Hmm.
all. And I just think,
Yeah, and I do see the point in allowing it to a degree sometimes too, because there are some things that can be missed. Like if there was pretty significant unsportsmanlike misconduct, I do think it should still be open to penalization. Like, what if someone like full on body checks someone in the run course?
exactly.
It, and the a judge might not have seen that, but that's extremely disrespectful to a competitor. So,
So
and someone got it on video.
in what, and I'm with you here. So what would you do in that situation if you're given that video? Let's say,
They would, if it was like deliberate misconduct like that, they would be DQ'd.
and that's where I'm with you. That's what
Yeah.
I'll say about this. If you're going to accept a video, and again, I've been dealing with this. If you're going to accept a video from an outside source, especially, it's got to be the point where, okay, that's a DQ,
Hmm.
not just a penalty. That's a DQ.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like you said, it's Pandora's box. You're going to get videos for everything.
Yeah, like, a couple inches here on the burpees with your hand placement, couple inches here with wall balls. Like, that's not what we're talking about.
No, no, and yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So if you have a blatant, and see, to me that is blatant unsafe acts or unsportsmanlike conduct,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, that stuff is DQable, and I'm okay with that. If you want to
Mhm.
show someone a video that's a DQable event, great, I'm down with that.
Mhm.
But for penalties, I don't like it, especially when there's no precedents or rules for it.
Yeah.
So I would have, and this is me personally, I would have DQ'd him.
Mhm.
That would have been a DQ
Yeah.
for deliberate cheating.
Yeah.
And I think that was pretty cut and dry. I don't know. I admire their attempt to fix it. I just think they
Mhm.
went in the wrong direction and they should have just out and out canned him. Um, so going forward, what do you think happens?
Um, I mean, I think what I hope happens is that people don't attempt to try to cheat when judges aren't looking, knowing that someone could be videoing them, which is why I'm okay with it. Um, yeah, I don't know, maybe they make a rule about video evidence and they give it a time frame and
Hmm,
I don't
maybe,
know.
maybe, maybe. I'm glad that it's not going to affect the Elite 15. And I'm
Yeah.
very glad about that. But I also think that the 30th person deserves the same level of scrutiny. And that's why I have the problem with the video replay. But as I said, for unsportsmanlike conduct of a cheating nature, of a dangerous nature, I'm fine with that. Any video you want to produce, that's fine.
Yeah.
And you know, so we'll see. I think going forward, I don't think you're going to see it again, regardless of what happens. I think this is going to be a one-time thing, which will also make it even more odd because I don't think they'll amend the rule book any. I think it'll just kind of sit there and be just something they did,
Yeah.
which is a little
And
disappointing.
I mean, there could be just a clause in there about something just being up to the race director's discretion.
And there is.
Yeah, so then it kind of opens that up.
It
That's
does, but
fair.
it just makes things arbitrary. Like the way Spartan used to do it. Like there was always just kind of like, oh, well, you did this, so you're getting this penalty, and it's race director's discretion. That's the stuff
Yeah,
I think that's supposed to be that last resort for things that you didn't think of,
yeah.
you know. But and almost every rule book has that, some sort of out clause for that. But
Hmm.
anyway, I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of that move. I didn't mind the adjusting the time, but I'm really not a fan of that move. And it's got nothing to do with Sean Noble as a person because I think he deliberately cheated. So um move on. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. Hopefully it's not something that we come up.
Hmm.
Um we didn't really mention what a great race Alex and JK had.
Yeah. Hmm.
Like that was like a duel back and forth. And I think at one point JK got to within one wall ball.
Was it that close?
He did get that close. It was definitely two. He might have actually got it to within
Yeah.
one. And then all of a sudden, he looked like he was going to pass him, and he broke.
Hmm.
And it was like,
Yeah, James Kelly is on another level this season, for sure.
well, let's think about it. I think it was 2 years ago. He got in because he happened to be at the event. Might have been
Yeah.
a little more than that, but that was the gist of it. He was there,
Hmm.
and someone backed out, and he got in. The next year, he got in a last chance qualifier,
Hmm.
and then this year, he gets in on the first major of the season and is looking like he might be the only guy who can challenge Ronkovic.
Hmm.
And I mean, Ronkovic just looked great.
He did. Yeah, very in control and just having a good time. In a lot of the pre-race stuff, he seems very confident. He did state he wanted to win all five majors, which is a very, very bold statement. But I'm
Track.
excited. Yeah, yeah, I'm excited to see him give that a shot. I was also super impressed with Rylan, who was definitely a wild card coming into this one, having all these
Gearing up,
issues.
man.
I know. I I
Oh
think I did. Yeah, I think I cried a little bit. Yeah, having a lot of just mysterious health issues with his breathing and trying everything to figure it out. And he did state that this could potentially be his last race as a competitive athlete, just not knowing kind of what direction it would take. And yeah, it kind of went very, very much in his favor. And I love the moment where he came out of the ski erg and was in first, and it was like he was having the best swim in his life because everything just felt really good. And there was this moment too where he like offered Ronkovic water, and he was like giddy, and he was smiling and winking at the camera. And I also was like, oh no, like I hope it doesn't hit him later. And he's kind of getting a little, and he just kind of kept going with it, and yeah, now it just seems like his headspace is really different. It's really hard. It's been really hard to kind of see Rylan, and we've spent time with Rylan too in the past, and he's such a good person. And this uh to have something that's come up that is just so unexplainable and hard to figure out and just not really know what's going on, to take you out of something that you love. And he did step away from his career to pursue sport, and then to have this come up, it's hard. Like it's really, really hard and emotionally difficult. And to have this happen, it's just I'm really happy for Rylan, that it came together when it did, and he secured that third spot. So now he has put himself into the World Championships, which is a big turn of events for him. But yeah, it was definitely the story of it for me in the men's side.
So I've heard some people say that they thought he was being cocky when he offered Alex the water. I'm like, that is not him being cocky. That is just
That's just Rylan.
that's Rylan actually being like the nicest guy in the world and just
Yeah.
sharing. That is just he is sickeningly nice. Never met him, and no, seriously, if you've never met him and got to talk to him or whatever, and you think, oh my God, like it's like
If Rylan had one gel on him that was going to win him the race and Ronkovic asked for it, he would give it to him.
he would, and that's just he's just the nicest dude in the world. He's
Yeah.
you know what, yeah. So I was the same. I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And again, you're talking about a guy who does not train specifically. What he said, he hadn't really trained hardly in 7 months. But even if he was, he probably would not have trained specifically for Hyrox because that's just not what he does.
Yeah.
But oh wow, if he gets it back together and is feeling healthy and he's got a shot. We know that he's got the engine, the fitness, the strength. He has every tool he needs.
Yeah.
Just hopefully he gets the health and maybe some desire to go and win it.
Yeah. Well, I think the desire is there.
And
It's
the
just
location,
everything.
the location this year is there too.
Yeah.
A lot
Yeah.
easier for him to go ahead to Chicago than was to try to get over to Nice or whatever. I don't know. I'm excited for him. I'm very happy for him. Yeah, we were pretty emotional at his performance, and that was just.
Hmm.
And then we did have on the other side our guy Dylan had a pretty rough day.
Yeah.
Um, hey, shit happens. Sometimes it's not your day. What is it? Sometimes you're the hammer, and sometimes you're the nail.
Hmm.
And sadly, that day he was the nail.
Yeah. And Dylan is so analytical that, he's looked at all of his data too to figure out maybe what went wrong in this case. So he's going to come back and learn from this too.
And Dylan would never make an excuse. That's not Dylan's deal. But I do know that he was not at 100% health
Hmm.
wise. Was having
Yeah.
some issues. And I think honestly, like a lot of that probably has to do with travel and whatnot. But
Hmm.
definitely was having some health issues, not severe like Rylan, but some stuff that day. And he would never make that
Hmm.
excuse. But I would say,
Yeah.
yeah, that probably had a good deal. And he's still like, I mean, he ran 60 seconds on a bad day.
60 minutes.
60 minutes, sorry, 60 minutes. Thank you. On like a bad day.
Yeah.
So he's still fit. He's uber fit. He'll be back. And he did this last year too. He had some really bad races and then came
Yeah.
and just had some great ones.
Mhm.
So it'll be great to see him have another good one. If you were, and tell me this, seeing the depth of the field and how good everybody is, did Hunter, Sandy, Kent, um, did guys like that make a mistake not going to this event and trying to get in? Like
Do they?
Do you know what I mean? Like, would you not try to have hit them all? Or, I don't know. Like, I guess they're so confident in their position that they'll be able to get it when they hit it. Because, I'm just thinking, like, okay, so Hunter's probably thinking he's going to go do one, maybe two races, right? He was even there.
Yeah, you raced a doubles race.
It's a doubles race. But what if you do that one race and you wait too long and you
Yeah, you're kind of putting all your eggs in a
shit the
basket.
bed day, You have a day like
Yeah.
Dylan where you're not feeling well or and everything that things just don't go right. Like
Hmm.
I think that if my goal was to hit worlds, I'd be taking every opportunity I got to make it.
Yeah. I mean, I would too. I think though, especially with people that are at the top of their game, like they also know when they're probably just not, it's not going to happen for them.
Hmm.
Like Sandy had some health issues. I don't know what goes on with Hunter, but they, they probably just know if I'm going to go at best, I come, seventh, eighth or whatever, or like pretty far off my best. And to waste the time and the travel and the taper and all of that, then, maybe it was the best call for them to put a little bit more focus on another race. For a lot of them, I feel like Hong Kong is such a significant trip. So
I
that's
think
kind of a number two race that could be a bigger gamble.
I think a lot of them are planning to skip that too.
Yeah.
And that's what I was talking with some of them and I'm like, if I'm somebody who's, in that mid group, I am going to Hong Kong
Hmm.
because I think there's going to be less competition. So if I'm like, I mean, just somebody who I don't know what I'm going to say in the middle there, like a Jonathan Wynn, you know.
Yeah. Or Jess Cole, who didn't have a good one. And
Well, yeah, I'm like,
yeah.
I'm going to go to Hong Kong and I'm going to give it a shot because, that's probably less competition. I would say like a Bo Willis will probably be there. Um,
Hmm.
I've been pushing Maria Fetchik to go.
Man, that travel though.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. But if you can get punch your ticket, then you have all the rest of the season to prepare for Worlds.
Yeah.
And like look at JK and Rylan and all those guys. Like they're cool now. They can relax, do a whole giant build all the way up, nice base. Like they can train so well for it and not have to worry about peaking anywhere along the way.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a huge advantage for those six qualifiers, that got
Yeah.
in.
Hmm.
Anyway, all right, that's what I wanted to go through. You got anything else we want to hit?
I do not. No.
All right. Well, for me, good luck to everybody at Blue Mountain this weekend.
Yeah.
Especially our own Brendan Neely. Go out there and kick some ass, who has been on fire this year.
Yeah.
The breakout OCR star this year, so it's good. And I believe he may be headed to Abu Dhabi. Just saying.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway,
Mhm.
good luck to everybody at Blue and everything else. Beth, get us out of here.
Yeah, thanks so much for listening. And I have a bunch of Fit Farm athletes that are headed to Blue as well for their first Spartan experience, which I'm really excited for them. The FOMO is very significant right now. And if I show up Sunday morning because I just can't handle it anymore, don't be surprised. But everybody have a great weekend and thanks again for listening.
Take care.